Goodness, it's hotter than a smoldering look from Mr. Darcy. My name is Art. Welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. Decided to go out for a walk today and thought I'd take you with me, so aren't you lucky? It has been beastie hot here in Iowa and upper 90s with the weather and high humidity. But it's evening now. I was hoping that the heat and humidity wouldn't be quite as bad right now. It's not too bad. It's probably in the 80s. And that's Fahrenheit for those of you overseas. Anyway, I just want to do kind of a Jane Austen July wrap up, and as well as a couple other things I read this month that I really enjoyed and thought I'd tell you about it, and also treat you to some beautiful Iowa scenery. There's a couple things I want to celebrate. First of all, I just hit 300 subscribers, so that is really exciting. I'm just overjoyed that so many of you have subscribed and follow my videos, so thank you so much for that. So this month, August, I also have a birthday coming up about the middle of the month. I'm turning 44, so I have somber thoughts about that and wondering what I should do to celebrate. If you have any great ideas, let me know in the comments what I should do to celebrate turning 44. Also on my birthday, I'll be celebrating my channel's 1-year anniversary, so I'm pretty excited about that. Can't believe I went a whole year and here I am now with 300 subscribers, and that's amazing. So thanks again, everyone, for subscribing and for your interaction. Well, I got to get up this hill, and it's going to be a work, so I'll see you at the top. Look, more corn. That's pretty much what we have. It's corn and beans. And that's Iowa. So what else I read for Jane Austen July? You can watch some of my other videos to find out about some of the other books I read. But I had a great time this year and really enjoyed making a couple videos to wrap up what I've been reading. A couple that I haven't talked about yet, I don't think. One is the Lady Susan. And this is the second time I've read that story, and I still cannot tell you what the book is about. Okay, I've read it twice. It's about a lady named Susan, and they're writing letters. I think she gets married to somebody, so it might just be that this book isn't for me. I'm just not getting it, and that's all right. Jane Austen's written some really wonderful novels and other stories that I've enjoyed, and I think I shared in my last video that I really struggle with epistolary novels, that something about the letter writing throws me off trying to follow the plot. If you've struggled with the plot of Lady Susan too, just you're in good company. So, but it was fun to read it along with everyone else. And then I was going to read Emma. Ironically, I did not get a chance to read that novel. I got wrapped up in everything, in a lot of other reading. But I read the Christmas chapters of Emma, where Mr. Elton proposes to her and her Christmas goes disastrous at the Christmas party. I did that for my Christmas podcast, Cozy Christmas podcast. I do that podcast year round, and I like to read Christmas stories on that podcast. So I'll have the links to that in the show notes. So I decided to help celebrate Jane Austen July. I would do Jane Austen and Christmas in July. So that's such a wonderful section of that novel, that Emma had all these plans to match up Harriet with Mr. Elton, and in spite of everyone's warning her, she doesn't think that Elton loves her. She thinks he loves Harriet. So then it turns out everyone was right, she was wrong, and shenanigans ensue. Ooh, yeah, sorry if I'm breathing real heavy into your ear. it just got up a hill. It was a feat. I've been trying to exercise more, walk more, make better healthy choices, that kind of thing. Because 44, maybe I'm halfway done with my life now. So that's kind of a bleak thought. But decided a few months ago I really needed to start being healthier and making better decisions and choices. So that's what I'm doing there. As I mentioned in a previous video, I watched Persuasion. I think maybe one or two of you have seen it and might have a strong opinion. Let me know if somebody doesn't have a strong opinion. They're probably lying. That was a lot of fun to watch, and then to make the video and then have so many people respond to that video. That was really amazing. I think it's almost at 1,500 views, which is far and away my most watched video. That really made me happy because it was a lot of fun to film and talk about. And I do want to thank, there's a couple of viewers who responded that they enjoyed the movie, and I really appreciate you speaking up and sharing with me why you did. It just helped me understand the movie better and gave me another point of view that I really appreciated hearing from. So thank you. I know there's at least two that I really engaged with in the comments. So thank you so much for doing that. And I know it wasn't everyone's favorite movie and left a lot of fans feeling very disappointed. And I think there's some valid reasons for that. It's just, it's not a film for me. It's not one I think I'll enjoy when I want to watch a good adaptation of Persuasion. And somebody pointed out there are good adaptations available. So if it's going to change, it's fine. But I continue to think about the movie. I continue to think about what the scenes I liked, what didn't work, what did work. And I don't know, I've never had a movie kind of get in my head like this one has. And I don't know if it's in a good way or not yet, but I keep thinking about it and trying to think about why they made certain choices the way they did. And I think in the end, what they probably should have done was just set it in a modern setting like they did with Emma in Clueless or with the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. I think that way they could have either gone full modernization and not worried so much about how some of that was coming off kind of odd and strange. But yeah, definitely one of the strangest movies I've ever seen. But like I said, I had an enjoyable time. I laughed, not always for good reasons, but it was interesting. So I enjoyed that. Thank you all for chiming in. If you haven't watched that review yet, I'll link the review in the comments. You can check it out. And then I was able to do some non-Jane Austen reading this month as well, and got through quite a few books. I wanted to talk about a couple of them that I had some strong emotional responses to. There's a few I read that weren't any good or weren't that great, but there's a couple that I read that I think will stick with me for a while. One is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and it tells the story of a young woman who decides to end her life. And as she's waiting between life and death, she's in a library, and she's given a chance to relive her life under different circumstances, like different choices that she could have made that would lead to different careers and different jobs. And she basically gets to try to find the life that suits her best. And to answer that question, what if I had made this choice instead of this other choice? That, of course, it does deal with suicide. So it's got some pretty heavy subject matter, but Matt Haig is just one of the best modern day writers I've ever read, and really come to appreciate his work. And this one is no exception. It was just, I thought, sensitively done without judgment on the main character for the choices that she made, as far as like even trying to end her life. But as someone who 44, a lot of these thoughts are thoughts I've had. Not that I've had suicidal thoughts. It's more of the thoughts of, have I done everything I wanted to do? Have I reached my potential in that regard? And what if I had made other decisions? You know, stuff like that. That really got me thinking. So I appreciate the deep thoughts that this book helped me have as I was reading it. And one of the reasons why I chose to start this booktube channel is because it was something I've always wanted to do, and I knew that, you know, especially as I was, you know, turning my mid-40s, that, you know, if I were to die one day and not have done this, I would be disappointed. I wanted to at least try. So that was one of the things that I did, is to start this channel. And so that, you know, this book anyway brought up all kinds of questions in my mind about what choices I've made, and would I still make that same choice, and what would I do differently, or is the life I'm living now the quote-unquote perfect life, you know, the one that satisfies me the best and suits me the best, which I think in a lot of ways it is, to be honest. You know, I've got a family, and I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful, very grateful for that. So it was a book that really made me feel reflect on the things I have and the things I'm thankful for, which is always a good thing, and I appreciate when books take the opportunity to do that. Well, I'm going to turn around and talk about, head back home and talk about a couple more books I read that made me angry in a good way, but I'll let you enjoy some Iowa scenery here. Well, now I'm walking into the sun. That figures. Another book I read was called You Can't Be Serious, and it was written by the actor Kal Penn. And he writes of his experiences in Hollywood, and I wanted to read his book because of what I heard him in an interview talk about the experiences he faced with racism, and why he turned down a career in Hollywood to work for the Obama administration. I was pretty curious about that. And so I listened to the audiobook, which was great. He's a great actor, real funny. The story was hilarious. But at times somber, and like I said, made me angry at times to read about the racism he experienced, and the things that he experienced working in politics, especially from Republicans and to be fair, sometimes the Democrats too. You know, I try not to get too political on my channel, but these next couple of books kind of touch base on some political things, and I'm kind of in the middle right now, to be honest, as far as my political affiliation goes. After 2016, I changed my political standing to independent, trying to see how that works for me right now, because there are things on both sides of the aisle that I feel pretty passionate about. I don't know if one party fulfills what I'm looking for in a candidate. Anyway, all that aside, no matter who you voted for, no matter who you are, you're welcome on my channel. So I just want to make sure I say that. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. But that was a really insightful look into his experiences, and it's shameful that these things are still happening even as recently as a couple years ago. Well, I mean, probably even as recently as last year, let's be honest. So yeah, again, one of the things I have enjoyed about reading is trying to be a little more aware of multiple viewpoints and looking at things from different perspectives that are different than my own. So that book I really would recommend if you want a funny and yet honest look at some of the issues that are happening in not just in Hollywood, but in Washington as well. I read another book it was called Beating Guns, and I can't remember the author's name, so I'll have it down here. But it's a book, it is written from a Christian perspective. It's written by a man who has a organization that will take guns, and he's a blacksmith, and he will turn them into garden implements. And he does this based on a verse in scripture that talks about how one day there will be peace on earth, and that people will beat their swords into plows, and they'll use weapons of warfare for harvesting. This is one of those issues that is a very hot button topic here in the United States, especially in Iowa, where Seems like everyone has a gun of some kind. And it's a very complicated question. It's a very complicated subject. What I appreciate about this book is that the push is to be like Christ. And he really focuses on the love that Jesus taught. And he wonders if guns are against a lot of what Jesus talked about. And I think he's right. I'm not sure theologically I would agree with him on everything, but it was refreshing to read a book that shared a lot of my viewpoints on when it comes to things like assault weapons and being able to be gotten so easily in our country. And then, we've just had more mass shootings. Just it seems like every day, every week, a week goes by, and we're seeing it happen more and more, and it's heartbreaking. And I'm at the point I'm really frustrated because it seems like, and I really want to be respectful and careful about if you are a Republican. I honestly do, but many of them I know are even against common sense gun laws. I think probably a majority of Republicans would be open to having some sort of more common sense gun laws, but there's just this vocal minority that seems to really want their guns, and I just guess I don't know why it's so important to them that children are literally being slaughtered in school. Just so we can have the right to own whatever weapon we want. There's just something wrong with that. But like I said, it's a touchy subject, and this isn't really the place for that kind of discussion. But those are just my thoughts on it. And what I appreciate about this book is that it really made me think about that in a deeper way. And I'd recommend it if you are anti-gun or pro-gun. I'd recommend you read that just to hear his side of the story. And then a third book I'm reading is called Leave No Footprints. Again, the author's name escapes me, but this author decided to take a year to go and visit every state park in the United States. And he's writing of his travels, and again, it kind of aggravated me because one of the things I care about is taking care of the planet and doing what we can to preserve and maintain maintain creation and nature. And again, he writes about how certain politicians have tried to prevent laws that would help the environment and things like that. So it's not all political. It's mostly is about the parks and the history of the parks and his contemplating his place in the universe and all of this. It's at times philosophical, but also a great celebration of nature. And speaking of nature, it sure is beautiful out this evening. This is one of my favorite places to walk. It's just quiet, usually, and peaceful. All right, sorry about that. I had a car drive by. Where was I? Oh yes, nature. So thanks for watching, and hopefully the shaky camera hasn't been too bad for you. A couple things to wrap up. It looks like Gaskell in April is a go. I put out a couple videos ago just asking if that you all would be interested in that, and had some pretty good positive response from that. So so thanks for your input. I'm really looking forward to spending a month talking about Elizabeth Gaskell. I would be interested in having a couple of co-hosts for the month. If that would be an interest to you, let me know. We can team up on our channels and promote it to our viewers and help get the word out. So, and I'm always open to discuss different ways we can go about doing this and what we want it to look like. So if one or two of you were interested in doing that, we could get our channels together and make something really amazing happen in April. And then in August, every Monday I'll be putting out a YouTube short. I'll be asking a question for the week. And I thought maybe I'd try that out. I've got a couple of questions I want to ask, and we can discuss things in the comments on the video, I think. I'm not entirely sure how a YouTube short works yet. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Really enjoyed talking with you all in the comments and things. So make sure you like and subscribe so we can you can be sure to get all the videos when they come out. Well, yeah, I think that was about it. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off for now so I can hoof it home. It's getting sun's starting to set, but it's not getting any cooler out here, so I feel like I'm walking through a swimming pool. With that, let me know what you're reading, if it's anything good, and we'll keep our conversation going in the comments below. And until next time, happy reading and take care.